I believe a story and its protagonist is only as strong as its villain. But what if the villain doesn't just beat the hero? He deletes them from the story entirely. What if the villain doesn't just outsmart the protagonist? He reprograms her, restarts her, and erases her entire perspective from the story. And he wins every single time. This isn't just a villain, this is a nightmare. This is the horror of Never Ending Darling. Spoiler warning. If you haven't read this comic, stop watching and go read it. You can find it on Webtoon, and you're welcome. In the story, Haim is a bright young woman who is dating Gonhuji, a man who on the surface seems perfect. He is the brilliant mind behind a cloning technology that has saved humanity from illness forever. Organs and body parts can be cloned and replaced easily. Gonhu is humanity's savior, but Haim's life is turned upside down when she finds out that she too is a clone. The horror of this moment is impeccable. Gonhu has been murdering her and cloning her repeatedly. Every time she acts what he considers wrong, he resets her, erases her, and downloads only the memories he approves of. Each version of Haim in the story is a full person, thinking, feeling, trying to escape, and every single one of them is murdered. While this is horrifying on its own, there's something under the surface here that the author uses to make their villain absolutely terrifying. The author is breaking a fundamental unspoken promise between them and the reader. The promise that you will see the story through a certain set of eyes. Even in a story like Game of Thrones, multiple protagonists are introduced before the author goes on a killing rampage. But in Never Ending Darling, we only have one protagonist, Haim, and we lose her over and over and over again. It's an uncomfortable, terrifying feeling to cross chapters and realize that our protagonist is gone forever. The author cleverly uses their villain to break unspoken pacts between us, and it makes us hate Gonhu so much more. Finding and challenging these unspoken rules that exist in storytelling is one of the greatest ways of writing an effective villain. It's entirely possible to have a good villain that is more or less at the same power level as your protagonist, but there's nothing like the feeling of being a tiny measly ant trying to fight a god. Never Ending Darling masters the terror of power dynamics. Haim is nothing in front of Gonhu. He is the world's hero and their savior. The police, the army, the media, none of them help her, no matter how hard she tries. He has every location under his surveillance, including Haim's bedroom. And she can't even get rid of the cameras because he would instantly show up and kill her. And no one in this world would stop him. This difference in power fills the reader with an overwhelming sense of dread, and makes Gonhu a villain that is hard to forget. When I work on villains of my own, I remember the story and I don't shy away from making them truly powerful, far beyond the reach of my protagonist. That is what makes the journey to beating them worth reading. There is nothing scarier than an intelligent villain, and Gonhu is a prime example of this. He is always prepared for every possible situation. He has rows and rows of clones of himself ready to be deployed the moment his heart stops beating. He carries fake weapons in case someone steals it from him and attacks him with it. Just one clone of his girlfriend isn't enough. He has a whole room of her clones ready to take over when he wants. He keeps clones of every single client of his company, whether they want it or not, just in case they cross him and he wants to replace them. He has fail-safes after fail-safes, but the most terrifying part of his intelligence is his ability to read people. Now, Haim is an intelligent protagonist, and she tries really hard to fool him several times. But every single time, for seemingly no reason at all, he turns around and kills her. It was pretty baffling at the start because Haim did nothing wrong. She showed him the loving girlfriend she thought he would want. She was clever and discreet. There was no horror stupidity here. She did what any of us would do in her situation. But it simply didn't work because Gon-ho truly sees and knows Hayim. He studied every twitch of her mouth, every nervous blink, every real laugh. He knows how she behaves when she isn't afraid of him. It is simply not possible for Hayim to convincingly lie to him. And the moment he realizes that she knows the truth, he kills her instantly. Never in my life have I lost to a villain so many times. He was utterly unbeatable, and I felt so hopeless reading the story. And that feeling stayed with me even though we win at the end. In most webcomics, the villain doesn't really match up to the power or intelligence of the protagonist. They're frequently outsmarted and beaten with minimal effort. But in this story, fooling Gon-ho even once feels like a massive achievement. Getting any kind of progress feels truly earned, like a major win. Gon-ho is characterized as having psychopathic tendencies since birth, and the world was unkind to him on top. His single mother, exhausted from dealing with a violent child, drowning in work, poverty, and judgment, breaks. She tries to strangle her own son, and Gon-ho has to take her life to save himself. This is the start of this awful character's journey towards becoming basically a supervillain. Hayim didn't know all this when she met Gon-ho in college. She was kind to him once. She didn't know he liked experimenting on animals for fun. She didn't know he had his mother's corpse preserved in his house. She didn't know he was stalking her, making note of her whereabouts, her interests, anything and everything to get close to her, to get her to trust him and to be with him. One moment of kindness was all it took for Gon-ho to form this deep-rooted obsession with her. And the first time Hayim died, the original Hayim, all she did was try to leave him. She discovered he'd been stalking her and she just wanted to be free. And that started a cycle of horrific murder and abuse. There was no sexual violence in the story, by the way. But the scenario itself is so deeply rooted in reality that it's terrifying in a very organic way. The leading cause of female homicide is violence by their intimate partner. And many who are still with us are trapped in a nightmare where entitlement and violence is their daily life. This made me fear and hate Gon-ho so much more. If you want to add a lethal touch to your villain story, seek out the real, true horrors of everyday people. Human beings can create horrors far worse than our imaginations, and the real world will show you how to craft a truly terrifying villain. The cloning, the fictional mechanics, these are all just part of engaging storytelling, but the fear exists outside of our mind. This is a story worth reading for anyone who enjoys a real uphill battle, because believe me, you will be tired trying to fight Gon-ho. If you want to learn how to craft a truly hateable villain in your own story, this piece of art will teach you a lot. If you made it this far in the video, thank you. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more deep dives into anime, comics, and storytelling. Catch you in the next one, and stay safe.